What's up, coaches? Welcome back to Coach Dino Football. I'm DiNicola. Today, we're going to be talking by the numbers and how coaches can use sports science to help their team succeed. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. We've got two very special guests. We've got Coach Laffere and Coach Mack from True North in Miami, Florida. Coach Laffere and Mack are bringing us a fresh perspective as they walk us through how they started a football program from the ground up. Before we get started, if you're interested in more content like this, just hit that subscribe button. It really helps us grow the channel, and it helps you keep up to date with the latest content that we're producing. Now, on to the video. All right, so Coach Mack, Coach Laffere, really appreciate you guys being on here today. Just to start out, I'd love to hear about your journey, both your personal journeys, and you guys can go one by one here about how you wound up at True North.
Greg Laffere, born and raised. I'm a rural Kansas guy. Went to high school in Kansas, played a year of junior college in Kansas, and then found myself at the University of Miami. Was an offensive lineman there, graduated, wanted to play for money, and that was way harder than I thought it was going to be. So didn't want a real job, so I started coaching. Been a college guy for a bunch of years. Started in junior college in Texas, then GA'd back in Miami. Was at Illinois State University, FIU, an NAI school called Ave Maria, junior college. I just been a bunch of places, and I basically my wife told me she was tired of moving everywhere, chasing the coaching deal, and so I had retired. She took a job back down in here in Miami. Realized me being retired was a terrible, terrible thing, and I looked to get back into coaching. At the time, the school was growing. It grew a grade each year. It started as a K through 4, and they were they were K through 8 at that time, and they wanted to have high school athletics and football in particular. Interviewed for the job. Was fortunate enough to get it and begin the program. At that time, we didn't have a helmet or shoulder pads or football on campus, and just kind of started that journey of getting our existing students involved and building a program. So now we're through year 4. And I've been able to hire some good staff, some guys to help build that process, and things are going pretty well.
I started off playing high school football in Jacksonville, Florida, and then went to Bethel University. I transferred after my first year and ended up at Ave Maria. That's where I met Coach Laffere. I played for him for 2 years at Ave, and then right after I finished, I jumped into coaching, and I jumped on staff with those guys and coached running backs for Ave, and then transitioned to receivers. Coach got a job at Hutchinson Community College in Kansas, and I took the quarterback job over there at Hutch, and then transitioned into running backs. Got a job in Reedley Community College out in California, then jumped down to Grambling State in Louisiana. I was there for 3 years, and then I had a baby, and my wife once again wanted me to be around more. I want to be more involved with my kid as well. I was on the road a lot, moving a lot, not a lot of time at home. So called Coach Laffere, and he had the job opening, the offense coordinator position opened, and moved down here 3 years ago. So I've been here, this going into year 3 of this program.
All right, so you guys have a unique situation. You guys started off relatively new here. What was it like starting a program from scratch? And essentially, what did you do to lay the groundwork for success at this new school?
Yeah, it's very much scratch. Like I said, we didn't have any sports. We didn't have a high school. So we started with the middle school kids that were going to become ninth graders. And we were the first sports program to launch here before anybody else. And when I took the job, it was, what do you need? We kind of prioritized those things. And number one was a weight room. It's been my experience in coaching. You can get guys to do whatever you want if they feel like they're getting better. If you're giving them something and they understand the value in it, you can ask the world of guys and they'll give it to you. I was really blessed. We had a really good group of 8th grade boys that wanted to play football, that wanted to be good at it. And so it kind of just, you know, how to coaching and teaching the same thing. You trick them into learning stuff that is going to be important. And that started with work ethic for us, the responsibility of being there and being there on time, being accountable to each other. And so we spent that first summer, that Monday after school ended, we had a weight room built. We actually, at the time, it was inside a kindergarten classroom. We cleared all the desks, all the stuff out. We bought a couple power racks off Walmart.com. Shoot, I don't even remember where we got the weights from, but it was just something to get us started. And we started that, and we ran them every day. We lifted them every day. At that time, again, with that kind of group of kids, I wanted to make sure it was fun. So we did competitive activities, just to teach them how to compete, how to work. And we did it every morning from 8 to noon, Monday through Friday. And we started from there. And then as we started getting closer to August, and okay, you guys are about to hit each other, you start showing them what that looks like, how to be successful at it. What the expectations are, when you put a helmet and shoulder pads on, what the expectations are when we get in a classroom and try to install plays, and how to watch them. It just really square one, basic stuff. But the mantra from our program, our culture here is purposeful work and relentless effort. We do that for a couple of reasons. One, the purposeful work part is our responsibility as coaches, really. I wanted everybody to know exactly what we were doing and why you were doing it. So you didn't show up in the morning and I told you to just run 100 hundreds for the sake of running 100 hundreds. We were going to teach squat and why squat was important. How is it going to make you faster? How's it going to make you a better football player? We taught bench, same thing. We bench a certain way, that translates to speed development, right? When we got a helmet, we made sure they understood that it was a helmet that was not, you're not bulletproof, but it was highly rated in concussions and how to tackle and the heads up tackling stuff. And so we spent a lot of time just explaining what we were doing and why we were doing it. And then the relentless effort part is to kids. And I found that very rarely, if a guy really understands why he's doing something and what the purpose is, that they won't try their best. If they don't, then they just don't belong. And it's easy to weed those guys out and not have be part of your program, because if you can't give me your best on something that is a benefit, it's going to help you, it's going to help the team. That says it all. But the guys that stay are committed to it. They understand why they're doing it, and it'll work. So our first year we played 6 JV games. It was bad. It was pretty bad. We got beat up pretty good for 6 games. But the mantra was, inside of that, was just get a little bit better each day, keep stacking better on better on better. Turn around, you'll get good. And again, I was blessed with a group of guys that were committed to that, wanted to be good. I don't know if it was I lied to them enough that they believed that and they bought into it, or if I was telling them the truth and they saw it. I really still don't know. But that was just an everyday thing. We would go get boat raced by somebody, and we'd sit in the locker room and we would talk about the positives, something somebody did well. We would watch the film and highlight some of the things that we saw improvement on, and it didn't feel good, but the kids believed in it. And then a miracle happened, and we won a game towards the back end of that first season. And it just kind of fostered belief that it was all going to be okay. If we just kept doing what we were doing, we believe in the process. We believe in the kids that are doing, in the locker room. We believe in the coaches that are coaching us. That we'll get better. And that's kind of how we started it all. It was a long road, to be honest with you.
I guess when I came in, it was already built. The foundation was there. Now I've seen some structural, like we didn't have a field when I first got here. The first day I came out here, I left my family in Louisiana. I just came down here to finish spring ball. I was going to go back to grab them. So I'm staying with Coach Greg. Haven't seen the facility. Haven't seen anything.
What facility?
So we pull up and he's like, "Yep. So this is where we practice." I'm like, "This is where we practice, huh? Okay." I'm thinking like dang, I just left a D1 school for this. And I was like, all right, well, here we go. Let's get to work. And so at the end of the summer, we had a brand new field. And that was like the biggest upgrade for me because I'm like, all right, we have a field. So, but yeah, so just seeing like being at that point where we didn't have seniors. Like when I first got here, we just had juniors. They were building up to the classes. So seeing now where we're at now compared to where we were with just juniors, it's crazy the growth, and it's been an awesome journey.
You guys have some awesome coaching and playing acumen and background. What have you brought specifically from your previous experiences, and what's kind of been the discovery process along the way?
The biggest one, and that's how I sleep at night, is everyone else stinks too, right? So you don't get so caught up in like all of your issues. I mean, again, this is our first ever graduating class this year, and we got some really good players. We got some guys who will go on play college football and do amazing things. But none of them were high level D1 major prospect guys. And so you look across, especially in Dade County football, you run into some pretty freaky guys athletically. But so it's always been rooted in the best teams do the simplest stuff the best. Don't have penalties. Don't turn the ball over. Don't give it away, and you'll have a chance. And then you can kind of just try to lean on those guys. Man-to-man matchups aren't going to work out for you. You can kind of teach kids. I guess one of the things, and it goes back to when I was coaching at Ave with him. We weren't very good. Coach Mack was a great player, by the way. It's not a thing. But we there was a lot of weeks you looked at the film and you're like, man, this is going to be tough. So if you can't be better, be different. And so we did a lot of crazy stuff. Formationally, motions, play. We got into stuff that I'm pretty sure if I'd had a job where they put us on TV, I would have been mocked openly, right, for running some of the stuff that we did. But it works. It just puts people, I think, at unease right across the ball. And so a little bit here, you're going to have deficiencies. We've had deficiencies. I mean, down here, you can hit a pitching wedge and find 75 wide receivers, right? You're going to have to drive 100 miles to find 5 good offensive linemen. They just don't exist. And the big kids down here don't play. It's tough. And so same thing with like there's a shortage of the big bodies. So we've had to do some things on both sides of the ball to lean away from our deficiencies, and it builds the expectations in the kids. They show up every Monday and they're like, what kind of crazy stuff did they come up with this week? Like, I know Coach Mack's going to put in something that I don't really know. I've never seen before. I've never heard of it. Like, it's just weird. Defensively, we've run some stuff. I mean, shoot, even in the coaches in our office, we get in fights about, like, what are you doing? Like, I'll be honest, I love the show Ted Lasso. And so last night I watched the episode, and he like drinks this mushroom tea and he has a trip. And I think Coach Mack at times on our defensive side has thought that I was on some sort of substance when we came up with some of those ideas. But it's just not to be afraid to try a thing if you believe it's going to work. And if you trust in your kids and you can teach it to them and they'll learn it and they'll compete in it, then you need to do it if that's what you believe is the best answer. And so for me, I don't feel like I have to be better than the other team at every position if our kids will believe in what we're trying to do and compete.
Well, we kind of heard from the spill where when I was with him, I was with him for a while, so we kind of believe in the same thing. At Grambling, Coach Fobbs, I mean, he was probably one of the best head coaches that I've known or seen or been around playing with or whatever. He's at ULM now. He's the running backs coach. But, man, he wasn't like football is everything. You need to be here from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. every night. He was a family-oriented man. And so that kind of like, I was in one spot where it was like, you're guarding your desk till this time. And then getting that was a breath of fresh air. Like I viewed football differently, and the relationships I had with the kids, the staff relationship, it kind of changed me as a coach, you know. And so I brought that with me here, like being more understanding, like understanding that, hey, it's not just football, football, football. Having that player relationship and that staff relationship and building the bond with the kids, because it's a lot different. Like these kids in high compared to college and high school. Like in college, I'm gonna have you with me at all times. You know, I'm constantly going to be talking to high school. We only get so many hours with these guys to truly bond and get, like, they're in school from, you know, 8 to 3. And so you get a couple hours after practice. I mean, during practice. And so really honing in on developing those relationships in a different way. I mean, you're going from working with college kids to high school kids, and that was definitely a change for me. But it's been a good change, and it kind of puts more perspective on it, that like having a kid now, I was really, my son's 2 years old, and having a kid now and understanding, like, man, like this is gonna be my kid one day. Like how do I want to coach this kid?
How have you guys approached building the team from the ground up? And how has that been in terms of team dynamics? So within the team and really just building an identity as a team in general.
I think everything's about people. It's always going to be about people. This has been alive a long time, and been on some really good teams that we weren't super talented. I've been on some really bad teams where we never should have lost. And it all came down to how the interactions amongst players to players, players to coaches, coaches to players, to the janitor in the hallway, to people across town, around campus. Like it's always boils down to people. So again, I've gone on this whole year about how fortunate I was with our first senior class. I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever been more lucky than I was to get that group of kids. I mean, they just every day, we work out every day. We work 47 weeks a year. And they were there every day, and they were working hard, and they really carried us. And so now, like, we're transitioning into a different period for us where those guys don't exist. They're all off to college. They're all doing their thing. And everybody in our program has been led by those guys. So now those other guys have to step up and pick up where they left off. But when Dade County is it's the Wild West a little bit down here. I mean, guys come and go, they move. It's, school of choice and all kinds of craziness down here. But when guys want to enter the program, or, it's always about the person. Ability is great, talents, you need to have some. But for me, as the boss of this deal, I want to go to work with guys that I like. I want to go to work with people that I know will work hard and be for our cause. It's not all about them. And there's learning in that too. I hate the internet. I think the internet, right? I maybe a Terminator as a kid. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it's going to kill us all one day. But the kids are so fascinated with that thing, where all of they need it. They feed off attention from people that they don't really even know. And so I want those guys. It's not about that. We have to placate that some, but it's about what we do together every day in our space, getting better. And so the team dynamic kind of takes care of itself, because everybody knows that's what the expectations are. You rub up against it from time to time. And, for us as a young school, getting noticed and having recruiters come through and see our kids and I don't know, in my opinion, give us a real fair evaluation of the ability that we have in our building. Like that needs to happen, and it's starting to happen now. We're getting some guys noticed, and they're seeing us. I think once that starts to happen more frequently, it'll be even less of an issue. But that kind of stuff, the team building, it's about the right guys. The team dynamic takes care of itself if that's what you got, and if you have to be ready, even if it's talented, to get rid of it if it's not going to be in that sphere. They're not going to do it for us, then we don't need you. We'll move on and find somebody else.
Even going a little just on what you were saying there, Coach. I see all this stuff with the like and follow and share my most recent visit and all this stuff that you got to, but the kids do really do play into it. I go back to my old Twitter when I was a high school recruit and I was getting recruited by, some FCS schools, and a few lower level FBS teams were looking at me, and, they didn't sensationalize anything. Like, you would go on your visit, you'd kind of just go there, talk to the coach, shake their hand, and go home. And this was 10 years ago. I mean, this wasn't really that long ago. Now, if a kid gets invited to a junior day, they make a whole graphic for him. It's just ridiculous, but it is what it is, and I think it's
guy sitting right next to me, by the way, making graphics as we.
No, and that's, but you got to pander to that a little bit, because unfortunately, that's the way to motivate this generation. It is, and it's a different generation. Even than myself, I'm 26, and it's, you see the kids that are 16, 17 years old, and they grew up with Instagram, with Twitter as not something they were introduced to. That was just like what they knew as their means of communication. So, of course, they're expecting validation through that. But
some of it is the world is closer now because of it, right? And people said it makes your life better. Again, I argue that, but that's for another podcast.
Yeah.
But it's at now, and it's at the 4-year level too. Like, the expectations of when you should be getting offered, right? Like, you see it, which I don't see it because I don't have social media, but I don't believe 90% of it anyway. But like, it's a thing that, like, you have to get almost so fast now. You throw a baby out with the bathwater. You're losing the purpose of what we're doing to chase a thing that you think you need that probably doesn't even really exist. And so I think, especially building a new program, and down here, everybody's going to use that against you, right? You're not going to get exposure. People aren't going to see you play, right? Who do they have that's gone to college? Well, nobody. We don't have anybody graduate from our high school. They can't go to college like that. But you fight against that, and then those kids see it on the social media, and it becomes this thing where they expect it to happen so fast. Like, I didn't have a college offer for a scholarship till I was graduated from high school, right? And most everybody I know would love to go play at the University of Miami. Like, my path worked. Like, I know coaches said the same thing about his path. Like, it's just, that quick and easy part of the internet is one of the biggest things we battle here. Like, the work part of it's easy for us. The coaching of the kids, again, the kids will stay with you if you're giving them something. Like, we're big into teaching technique, the why, the how, the who. Like, and so the kids love that. It's how many times have I been mentioned on TikTok or Snapgram or InstaFace or whatever those things are, right?
Close.
Right? Again, I don't know. But that's the stuff that they feel like they have to have. And so we pandered to it a little bit, but we try to beat it back with the biggest stick we could find too.
Oh, that's awesome. Now I'm going to switch gears a little bit here and kind of lean into the data a little bit. Obviously I am a data guy, but where there's not much history there with teams actually capturing data, how have you approached gathering information for your guys specifically? And how do you build a depth chart, recruiting approach when everything's kind of fresh and it's new for you?
Again, big picture, why? What purpose does it serve? And so, forming our own opinion, we felt like it would help us better develop kids in the weight room, to try to manage injuries, and also in recruitment, to have verifiable, solid data on things. So for us, it just kind of fit into, again, what is our process? Does this make sense? And then what are the best ways to collect that stuff? And so that's why they talked me into doing it.
Yeah, no. So two things we use. We use Vold for the timing gates. The timing gates for us, like timing the 10-yard splits, timing the 10-yard flies, stuff like that is huge in our development, in our strength and conditioning program. Also Catapult, of course. I know you see me post stuff literally every week. Coach Luis Rodriguez does great graphics for us. And once again, the kids love it. And for us, like, okay, you're getting what you want, but I'm really getting what I want, because all the data points that we're hitting through Catapult, it just really helps us to see where we're at within the program. And you have to match up the weight room with the speed development as well. And so I'm like, hey, coach, like, man, like, this is working. Like, look, our numbers are going up in the weight room. Our body weight is going up. And look, our sprint speed's going up. Our max velocity speed's going up. Like, great. Boom, boom, boom. We're hitting all the check marks. Our verticals are going up. Great. And then also it can do the other thing for you too. Like, man, coach, like, we're missing something, because our numbers are going down or trending down in this wave. Or, our numbers are trending down, body weight staying the same. Like, okay, so it kind of keeps me, as a strength and conditioning coach too, it kind of keeps me at bay to make sure that my program's working, and it helps me tailor it. Like, I'm not scared to be, okay, well, we need to change X, Y, or Z. And of course, we have different waves, different cycles that we use, and what's our main objective for this cycle? Well, it may not be max velocity. Like, there was a couple weeks there where our main deal wasn't max velocity, especially getting into it. Like, we wanted to build a foundation, build the base back. Just came off of a long break, so we wanted to build more lean mass and whatnot, because we lost a lot during the season. Even though we stay working out during the season, you're going to lose some. So the data points for us using Catapult and using the technology that we use, it's really been a plus in the program.
And I would add the last piece to that is like growing a program, building a program. When you go back from the kids' perspective, we're asking a ton of them, and the expectations are high. I told them that first group of kids that we were lifting in the kindergarten classroom as eighth graders, so we'd win a state championship by the time they graduated. I said, I promise you. And we got close. We made the state semifinals. I feel like the FHSA kind of messed with me on that deal, because they moved this one school from Fort Lauderdale down, and they were better than us. But we would have had a chance had they not changed the classifications, and I wouldn't have been made a liar. But if they don't see growth, if they don't feel like, as a staff and as a program, you're growing, then it's hard for them to do that too. So those pieces, the catapults and the vault and stuff, every time we get that or anything that we add to the program, the kids see it. It's growth. It's a way to measure it, and they feel like it's not just them who have to build it. We're building it with them.
So that's it for today. As always, if you have any questions you'd like me to cover, please feel free to leave a comment, DM me. I'm at Coach Dino FB on Twitter and Instagram. I look forward to talking with you guys all season long. Thanks again.